And what about the men and women who put in so long hours to produce that food? Well, to get the farmer's perspective on all of this, I'm joined by the farmer and wholesaler, David Catt. David, thank you so much for joining me on the show today. Well, David, give us an idea for those people who don't come from a farming background and are finding it difficult to understand. Why is the price of food going up so rapidly?
Basically because production is falling off a cliff at the moment. Post-Brexit, we created this labour vacuum where we used to have casual seasonal labour coming from Europe every season to pick the fruit and apples. That's stopped now. The actual paperwork involved in doing visas is phenomenal. Unless you're a very big company, have an HR department, it's just impractical. So a lot of growers now are stopping to produce this food. I mean, the egg producers, because of electricity prices, wheat prices, feed prices went through the roof. The supermarkets weren't prepared to pay any more money because they're in a price war. And so production has just completely gone. And we're now importing most of our eggs from Poland. And what we need in this country, there's no government strategy with food. When Brexit was brought about, we're there now. The consequences of how that was going to affect the food production in the UK wasn't really thought about very much by government. And we need a government now that wants to dig for Britain style of basis, because at the moment fruit growers are grubbing apples because of the problems. They're planting vineyards up that they can mechanically harvest. Vegetable growers are cutting back on the acreage. Potatoes are a case in point very currently that the acreage was dropping and is dropping again for next year. Now, one of the big chip manufacturers has miscalculated its Europe-wide production of potatoes. So the chipping potatoes have gone from £300 a tonne a month ago to £800 a tonne ex-farm. And so the poor fish and chip shop trade are going to really struggle. But we need some more policy.
Yeah, and I was listening to Therese Coffey on the Camilla Tominey show earlier on. I don't know whether you heard her. She was talking about fairness in the supply chain and the need for everybody to be able to have that equity. Do you think that government recognises the difficulties that you're talking about, David? And if so, are they going to be able to solve them? Because we've seen the Farm to Fork summit in Downing Street. Undoubtedly, that raised the issue. But obviously, you feel that there's more need to have policies that work.
Absolutely, because within the EU there was the CAP, so there was a food supply policy because it created a guaranteed supply at a known cost. That's what that did in fact. But where we are now, the cost of production now is so high, and with the supermarkets that have been allowed to control our food industry from a growing point of view, from a selling point of view, I'm very anti-supermarkets because to our way of thinking, it was to supply them, you're not your own boss any longer, where it needs a better supply chain, really.
Yeah. And do you feel that you get support from the supermarket yourself, or indeed the wider farming community? Do they feel supported by the supermarkets, or do they see the supermarkets as, yes, the route to market, but people who are taking more profits than they should?
It's basically a monopoly. They've got a cartel running between them, and they control and dictate the prices. I mean, the cost of production bears no resemblance to the price they pay back to the farmers. Now, if you're packing for them, there's a known cost and a known price, and if it's not paying, you won't pack for them. So the packers earn money. But when it comes to creating a price structure for the products, it's entirely in their hands. And the shortage in supply we had in the spring with the salad stuff from Spain and North Africa. All my independent shops, we supplied absolutely everything every day throughout the whole of the period. There were no shortages whatsoever. We just had to pay the money. If you pay the money for the produce comes here. And the Spaniards now don't need to send here because they can make more money within Europe. And we're last port of call now.
Yeah. Well, David, thanks for explaining that so clearly for our listeners and viewers today.